me get you guys up to speed on what's going on. I know it's been a little while since we last talked, but I'm here at my shop today. Just finished off a good day's worth of work. Now we're actually going to be heading over to Bruno's to get tuned. So a lot has been going on, and it happened really fast, which is why I didn't make any update videos. So I was just trying to get shit done. Didn't really have time to film anything. I was just like tunnel vision, you know, the things going on with Turbo Bob and my old turbo, and then just everything. But I'm gonna try and explain as much as I can, as fast as I can right now, because I got to leave and head over to Bruno's. Before we hit the road, I'm gonna go ahead and head on in, just grab a water real quick. We're ready to bounce. It's my dad's Pro Charged WS6. Getting all ready. Yeah. Got my water. We're ready to go. Let's get this here cold start going. Here we go. Yes, like I said, when we hit the road, I will explain more on what has been going on. But for now, we gotta get our ass on the road. I can't stand when people can't fucking let you in. Like, really? Come on now. So you just gotta make your way. Pays having a loud car, because you can just do that sometimes. That exhaust leak, whatever that is terrible, and it's really bugging me, because I spent a lot of time making sure that this thing was 100%, you know, before today, and all of a sudden I've developed some sort of air leak and rattle from the exhaust. And I actually jacked up the car earlier. I jacked it up, I got underneath it, and you know, I unbolted the whole cat back, bolted it back up to the downpipe, made sure everything was good, all the gaskets were solid, everything was good. Yet it still has this weird little metal clingy noise, and it's sort of, you know, just letting air out. It's weird. Sounds weird. But should be alright. Let's see, where are we going? Yeah, hour and 5-minute drive. Shit. It's alright. Gotta shift a roux here. There we go. That's how you do that. Alright, so let's get up to speed here. What has been going on with the car? Last time I talked to you guys, Turbo Bob was fucking shit up. And long story short, you know, after a long time thinking, I was just kind of like, you know, why deal with that? You know, like, the people that know me personally know that I stress a lot when it comes to cars and whatnot. And what comes with a lot of my stress with cars, it's when things don't work right and when I'm just genuinely worrying about stuff. Similar, as I said before in a previous video about how Evan Shanks was like, you know, I love my Subaru, but it just kind of makes my head hurt. It's sort of the same situation, but I'm thinking about that all the time, you know, just because of the way Subarus are, which sucks. And it's not smart, but that's just all. Oh, this guy's, he's blowing shit. Don't you dare, son. Don't you dare. I wish I could unleash all the boosties right now, but I just can't. I just can't, and I will explain why. So, what happened after the whole Turbo Bob thing, I was like, you know what, I already stressed enough as it is with this car, and I plan on driving this car far. You know, I plan on having fun with it and driving it places. Why am I going to have a car with parts on it that I gotta worry about? There's a reason why I built the motor the way I did, why I did everything the way I did, was so that I was, you know, assured that this thing was gonna hold and stay together, you know, through all the rigorous tasks that I put it through, and all the stress, time, long drives. You know, I really just wanted the longevity of the car to last a very long time. So where I go from here? How do I explain this? I was like, you know what? Fuck Turbo Bob and his little rebuild thing that he screwed up on my turbo. Yeah, you know, everybody deserves a chance, and he's gonna rebuild it again, but you know what? Not my car. I'm not about to put a rebuilt turbo on a brand new 1,800 mile motor. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that. I then became a dealer for Garrett. This all happened, mind you, that weekend that I was talking to you guys, this all happened like that, you know, next day or day and a half, whatever it was after. I got in contact with Garrett, and I basically became a dealer for them. So I got a killer deal on a brand new turbo. Now, what did we do for a turbo? We didn't stay with the same size that we were at, which I feel like was kind of a mistake because I liked how peppy the car was before, and I have a bad feeling it might not be as, you know, fun, but it will, you know, have less stress on the turbo. I went with pretty much the biggest stock location turbo they make, which is the Garrett GT 3582R dual ball bearing turbo. Got that turbo brand spanking new, and I'll go ahead and put videos here of when I got it. I was at the shop, and I didn't really feel like talking very much. I was more so just shell-shocked over, you know, having a brand new turbo, because, you know, I mean, that's not something that's cheap. You know, that's a $2,000 purchase. But yeah, I'll go ahead and roll the clips here. This is when I first got the turbo and I was unboxing it, but this thing is massive. Like, this turbo is so big, it is absolutely insane. It is huge. Turbo's here. Sort code. Brr. Just a box within a box. There it is. This turbo is huge. I mean, it's massive. I don't even know how that's gonna fit, but we'll try. So this is the turbo. I talked to Garrett about this little thing. They said, you know, these Garrett ATP turbochargers are basically like remanufactures. Well, they're almost like a rebuild, and then they just use the housings. So this little scarring right here is no biggie. That's just basically the run-of-the-mill shit. But check this thing out. Brand new Garrett GT 3582R. Dual ball bearing turbo. Look at that. Perfect. Like butter. So beautiful. The amount of craftsmanship is insane. Like, it's so pretty. Look at this. Like fucking rose gold hardware. It's all studded. I gotta go pick up my external wastegate / internal wastegate bracket to keep this thing shut. But look at that exhaust housing. I mean, like, the thing's huge. Like, it's massive. It's absolutely ginormous. But it's gonna be cool. Can't wait to get this thing thrown on. I'm not gonna film the install because this is something I'm gonna want to take my time on just to get it perfect. But yeah, it's here. This is the new turbo for Sabrina, the Garrett GT 3582R turbo. Just an absolute work of art. So what happened to my old turbo? Bob then ended up explaining to me he would 150% not admit to what happened to it, and that it was his failure when he assembled it. He would not tell me, which that killed me. That like really pissed me off, to be honest. He wouldn't tell me that it was his fault. He was just like, I don't know what happened. I put it together, and you know what seems to have happened, that noise that you were hearing, that metal screeching, that was your turbine wheel, which if you don't know is the exhaust housing wheel, grinding itself to pieces. And I was like, come on, dude, like, you can't, like, just admit it. Like, just tell me, like, I'm sorry, this was my fault, you know? But no, he can't own up to that, so he's like, I'm gonna fix it. So he ordered a brand new wheel for it, and basically rebuilt the whole turbo. I didn't even want to put it on the car because I'm like, you know, I'm not doing all this labor for free again. I'm not about to do all this just to be let down again. I'm buying the brand new turbo. I'm slapping the brand new turbo on, and I'll sell, you know, this cheaper turbo to somebody who wants it. You know, I bought that turbo for $1,000 and, you know, trade of my stock turbo. And so far I'm about $600 into the rebuild. So it's like, you know what, at this point, I just want some money back. Just give me $1,000 and you can have yourself a freshly rebuilt Garrett GT 3076R, built from Turbo Bob out of Van Nuys at Turbo Performance. There's no guarantee that it works. I have never ran it. It's got the paperwork and he is warrantying the work. So that's out of my hands. The turbo's up for sale. If any of you guys are interested in it, personally, I'm just over it. You know what I mean? It's got a bad taste in my mouth at this point where I don't want to put it on this car. And I couldn't be happier since I've gotten my new turbo. I love this thing. It looks so beautiful. Like, you guys should see this thing. I'll put some pictures here. I mean, look at this thing. It's so shiny and so new. It's got the serial tag on the center section. I mean, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful turbo, and it's so big. Like, what I noticed was crazy about it is when I saw them side by side for the first time, because when I first got the 3582, I was like, man, this is the Big Daddy, obviously on paperwork. I said, but it's stock location. Looking at it, I'm like, all right. Like, before I had picked up my 3076R from Bob, you know, this second time around, I was like, man, I'm like, this thing looks pretty nice, you know? I took the turbos, put them side by side, and I was like, wow, okay, the whole thing, you know, cold side to hot side is bigger. The center section is like double the size. And trip out on this, the turbine wheel on the 3582 is so big. Like, it's honestly insane how big this thing is. It is ridiculously big. Like, it's monstrous. It's huge. It's massive. Big turbo. God, what else has been going on? Oh, last night I actually picked up a manual boost controller. Now, I will explain why I went with the manual, because I know you guys are going to ask. And basically, as you guys know, and if you remember my video from the first time I went tuning with Bruno, me and Bruno were both disappointed in how the wastegate sounded because of my boost controller. Yes, I bought a $300, you know, crazy company 23 anti-surge boost controller, electronic boost controller, for the simple reason that I hate when wastegates go and I wanted it to just do a smooth, you know, that's all I wanted. So I got the boost controller. Now, what are the problems with that boost controller? It's honestly, it's cool, and if I was building a sleeper, I'd be all over it, because it literally, it X's out the whole sound completely of the wastegate, and that kind of killed it for me. I mean, I wouldn't go to the extent of having an extended dump tube in the whole nine if I was, you know, just not going to care about having an external wastegate. I did it for the sound. Now, as far as the external wastegate goes, I went and I met up with a guy off the Facebook forums, and I got a brand new Go Fast Bits manual boost controller. I talked to Bruno, and I'm like, look, how do we get this wastegate to scream the loudest we can, and to just always be consistent, to not flutter, and to scream as loud as it can? And he goes, manual. He goes, that's what I run on my car. That's what I ran on, you know, previous builds. He goes, I run manuals. He goes, because it makes the wastegate not sound, you know, like shit. So, picked up a manual one. So, that's another thing that is for sale if any of you guys are interested. I'm selling my company 23 anti-surge boost controller. They're like $300 new, but I don't know, give me like $100 and you can have it. I picked up my manual one for like $60, or I paid $50 for it. They retail for like $75 or something like that. But yeah, got a manual boost controller, got a front mount now. It should be fun. So, front mount, manual boost controller, Garrett GT 3582. It's a whole new car. We're ready for some fun, and I just can't wait to get this thing squared away. So I'll see you guys once we get to Bruno's. Dude, everybody on YouTube's been asking about you, man. They're like, where the hell is that guy? I said, oh, he's a street bike guy now. Likes doing wheelies at 200 mile an hour. Third or fourth? Fourth. Straight?
Straight and pull over and screw it in another turn. Yeah, you didn't up the boost at all yet. Or unscrew it another turn, sorry.
Now it's like bleeding air. You can hear it bleeding air. Like
From that? Are you sure it's hooked up right?
pretty sure.
How'd you hook it up?
Huh?
How'd you hook it up?
I went based off of what it said. Wastegate to this port and then the other port to the rest of the hose.
Like the boost source went in one and the other one went to the wastegate?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be bleeding anything off.
Do you want me to close it off as soon as it starts bleeding? Third again?
Yeah.
You want me just to go to the top of fourth and then let out?
Yeah. And then put it in sixth.
That's the front bumper. The little under tray, when the dude did my front mount, he broke a tab and now it wants to drag when you're going fast. Get it? I felt weaker than all of them.
Yeah, it hit 23 pounds towards the top of the floor.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I don't know, we can try it. We can try to do another 3/4 turn out.
Why is it surging?
Because of that back. Make it right. Do it that way.
Third again?
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly though, like, I don't know if it's maybe, do you think we should just go back to the other boost controller? It's weird because this thing isn't even loud. Like, you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this is
There's
just,
something wrong with the wastegate.
I don't know. though, because it still feels so slow in first gear. Why is that? Just the turbo?
Dude, honestly, I don't know, because yeah, it's not. I made 14 pounds of boost, but that was by red line. Like at 6,000, you had 8 pounds.
What the fuck? It's like it's tapering off, huh?
No, it's like it's not even swirling almost. But then in second, you hit 22.
Yeah, weird. First gear is weird. I don't know. Alright guys, so we're about to leave an E85 pump out here in Ventura and start heading home. We've got a long drive home. So once we hit the road, I'll start talking to you guys about basically how the night went and what's going on, because I know from what you guys saw, it was just a mixed assortment of pulls. So I'll explain sort of what exactly happened and what are the game plans now. What's up guys? We're home and I've got a lot of explaining to do, and I'm pretty bummed because I feel like I start every video off with, damn, sorry for like being absent for so long, gotta get you guys back up to speed, but it is one of those cases. The last clip you saw, I was going with Bruno to tune, and I was leaving the E85 pump in Ventura, I believe. So I initially recorded probably about 15-20 minutes of me just talking about how the night went, what happened, and what are the plans as far as what we're gonna do with the car. And the video's already at like 20+ minutes and it's gonna be way too long, so I'm gonna try and make this very, very short. So how did the night go? Well, it didn't go great. As you know, that leak turned out to be the internal wastegate bracket on the actual car, on the turbo itself. So I had that thing fully tight. Now it's a very, you know what, I'm just gonna show you guys. It'll be a lot easier if I do that. Then you get a better idea of what I'm talking about here and why, because obviously I wouldn't try and tune a car with this big of a leak. But here, let's open this. Okay, so let me grab my phone. Let me shine a little bit of light on the subject. All right, so you see the wastegate bracket. That is a Grimspeed internal wastegate bracket, and that basically holds the little actuator door, you know, closed. Now, as you can see, this rod is all the way tight. Like, this thing is not going anywhere. It's on there very tight. Now, when I took it there, as you can see, actually I'm going to explain what's going on with it first, and then I'll tell you about what happened. So you can see on this rod, I don't know if you can tell, oh shit, shadows. Okay, you see where this little knuckle is on the actual turbo actuator itself, and you see how the rod just slides over it? Well, basically the top of that is pretty stiff. So you just have a basic C-clip and then that thing slides on top of it. Now, the top of the rod is a lot bigger than the bottom. As it goes towards the bottom, it gets narrower. So basically the problem that I had was I'd get this thing maxed out all the way tight, and what do you think would happen? From the vibrations of the motor, that little rod would actually in return fall all the way down to the bottom of the rod where it's more narrow, thus letting the little door move a little bit. Now, I mean, we're talking, it's very small movement. It's nothing big, nothing that I would even think would cause a boost leak. It's very small. It's very minute. It's nothing that's like, oh my God, I can't believe you were driving it like that, you know? It's a very, very small little movement in that shaft. So, how do I explain it? We tuned the car, everything was good, and it started going bad. And I knew something was up right away, but I was open to new things. I was just like, you know what? Maybe this is how this thing just runs because it's got a new turbo. Maybe I screwed up. Maybe I got too big of a turbo. This is just shitty. Oh my God. And I started freaking out a little bit. But basically, the car was fucked up. It wasn't right, and the only thing that kind of got me down about it was that Bruno, he had no opinion on what was going on, and he had no way of saying, hey, let's fix it, or nothing. He was kind of just like, let me just tune on it, and that kind of bugged me out. Now, moving on with that, the car wasn't being tuned right. As you saw in the last clips, the car was not boosting as it should. I tried to put some titles in there to make it as simplified as possible, but basically what was happening was the car was not boosting at all. I mean, if you would see, I would floor it. Like you'll hear in the video, Bruno would say, hit it. As soon as he says hit it, I'll floor it. Foot to the floor at like 4,500 RPM. And the turbo would literally go, and then it would sort of pull, and it had a weird noise. It sounded like an intercooler pipe was blown off throughout the entire pool. It kind of had like a supercharger whine. It wasn't great. It was very bad. And yeah, basically Bruno, you know, didn't really have any idea of what was going on. And I'm like, dude, like, help me out here. Like, I'm no Subaru expert. I don't know what's going on with the car. Like, help me, you know. And he was basically like, look, we're gonna have to do a boost leak test and then, you know, see where there's a leak, because obviously there's a leak pre-turbo here somewhere, somehow, some way. And then I was like, all right. He goes, this turbo just could be that laggy. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. They could not sell a turbo on the market that barely makes any boost and has zero torque, zero top end. Just horrible. It was a horrible experience. And basically he was just like, figure it out. You know, I told him, I said, look, I don't care what the price is. Can I leave the car with you? Can you please do a boost leak test? Like, I'll pay you whatever. Just please fix the car. I have so much money in it at this point. I don't even want to take this thing home unless it's running 100%. Like, just please fix it. I'll pay you whatever. And he would just kind of beat around the bush and was like, Google, you know, boost leak test. You can make one yourself and do it yourself. And I'm like, look, I don't have the time to be giving to this car all day. I've been under this thing since I got it back from him every fucking day, trying to work bugs out, and still it's not right. I just want somebody to be able to fix it. So with that being said, I drove home pretty sad. I recorded like a 15-minute video of me talking about just how bummed I was that the car wasn't making any boost in first or second gear, completely. You know, on the access port, it was reading like 8 pounds, and it was 100% 0 pounds. Like, I could feel, you know, I know what it feels like. It was 100% 0 pounds of boost in first, and second gear, it wouldn't make boost till about 5-6 grand. And when it started making boost, it was very light. Like, there was no torque there. The turbo didn't come on strong. It was like, I'm telling you, like, it just wasn't hitting hard. It wasn't hitting like it normally did, and that really bummed me out. So I had no boost in first or second. I was really bummed. Went home, made this big old long video about how sad I was about it. And I'm like, you know what? I was just so over it, guys, like, to be honest with you, that I was like, this is just so scattered. Like, I started freaking out a little bit. I'm like, I've been slacking off of YouTube. I made a video. I didn't even make a video like previously uploaded. You know, I'm kind of joining 2 videos, and that was a potential good video of me showing you guys my new turbo, this and that. Like, I already fucked up my YouTube channel. I'm already mixing clips. Like, I shouldn't be doing this, yada yada yada. I'm screwed. I messed this up. And I was all over the place. I was just like, the car is messed up, my YouTube's messed up, I'm not even gonna fuck with it. So I put the clips literally on. I had edited the clips that you guys just saw prior to me making this one days later. I had made all those, and I just closed the laptop. So ever since then, I sought out to fixing this thing. So we did switch back to my Company 23 anti-surge boost controller, and we got that thing going. Still didn't sound right. The car just doesn't sound right, you know? So I was hitting up Bruno. I was texting him. I'm like, hey, dude, you know, is it okay? Is it, you know, what's going on with it? And I wasn't getting any responses back. So that was kind of just like, oh, well, I guess now this is all on me. Like, dude's not responding. I guess I'm left to build this car on my own. So we tuned on Monday, and then I was just depressed and didn't know what to do. Drove the car Tuesday around, and still no boost for a second. Car was just driving weird, you know, all of Wednesday. And then I actually went and I got a haircut on Wednesday. And I was driving the car, and when I went to turn it on, I noticed immediately the crank was very weird. It sounded like when it had ringlet failure and it was down on compression. So I was like, you know what? This motor's done. Like, I'm so over this thing right now. I pulled a fuel pump fuse, and I cranked it a few times, and it sounded normal with the fuel pump fuse plugged. I don't know if it was just because it was hot out or what the deal was, but it ended up being okay. Now, in the process of that, I even took videos and I sent it to Bruno, and no response. Later that night, me and a buddy of mine were like, you know what, I'm going to go over the whole car, and I'm going to make sure that this thing has no boost leaks. Now, this rod, I don't know if you can hear this. Hear that? This thing that was that metal noise this whole time that we've been hearing. That metal grinding, that's what it was. And it's funny because that bracket, it's just somehow loose. It loosens itself, and it's narrow. It's a shitty design from fucking Grimspeed, to be honest. And oh, there we go. There's some lights. But yeah, that basically kind of screwed me, because now that bracket is causing a major boost leak. The other night, I said, you know what? I'm going to really figure this thing out, and I'm going to fix it. So what did I do? I got underneath the car, and I immediately started going over everything. I took the whole intercooler piping off. I got that all nice and tight, put that all back together. And in the process, I retightened the header bolts, and actually the header to the Y-pipe bolt. One of those bolts actually flew off. I guess I should have went over everything when I got the car back the first time, but the header bolt completely flew off, backed itself off, I guess, or it was never tightened correctly the first time. That flew off, and then I'm like, all right, let's go over everything else. The O2 sensor on the actual Tomei equal length header was also loose. So what I did was I tightened everything on the whole turbo system. I was able to get my phone up around the turbo where it seals to the up pipe, and there was no signs of a leak. It was all squished evenly on the 3-ply gasket that I've got on there. And I also sprayed water on it and turned it on, and there was no bubbles or anything like that. So turbo system checked out, intercooler system checked out. Then it was that wastegate. I'm like, you know what? It's falling. It's stiff here. There's a clip here. It's got to be on this lower rod. And it's stiff here. Then it gets narrow. I got it right where it was at the stiffest point. I snapped the clip on, and I went out for a drive last night. And I'm happy to say, and I'm not even that mad that it still doesn't have that much boost in first gear, but for the first time I felt boost in first gear with this turbo. I only made 14.7 pounds, which isn't a lot, which is also expected. I mean, it is a pretty large turbo, but yeah, it didn't make shit for boost, which was kind of a bummer. Hit second gear, and when I hit second gear, that lag was gone. It was so nice, I'll tell you that. It was just, I was like, wow, you know, first gear, and I'm like, oh, first gear is still kind of weak, but it feels a lot better. And I'm like, oh, please hit hard second. I literally, as soon as I hit second gear, the car goes boom, and instantly it was 25 pounds, like straight from second. There was no lag anymore. I mean, it was so bad when Bruno and I were tuning the car that I would shift a gear, and it would be like, whap, whoa, whap, and then it would pick up again. It was so bad. So yeah, first gear was all right, you know, I can't complain. It's a big turbo. Second gear, bam, power was right there, 25 pounds. Slammed third, bam, 25 pounds right there. Slammed fourth, bam, 25 pounds is right there. And we were good. It was a good night. On the way home, I was messing around with my dad's new Z28, my brother's ZL1, and I hit boost, and it was like, whap! And now, mind you, that's another thing I noticed right away. It was pretty crazy. This thing, at 25 pounds, for once the wastegate was actually making the noise that it's supposed to make. I mean, it was incredible. It was making the noise it was supposed to make. For like, you know, ever since I did the new turbo, I thought it was just very quiet. Stuff was wrong. I guess this is how it is. No, the wastegate actually made the proper noise it's supposed to make, which was absolutely insane. And it makes total sense now, because that little door flap on the inside of the turbo was leaking. It was leaking air. Obviously a very, very tiny amount of air, but that was still enough to cause 0 boost in first, 0 boost in second, and a whole lot of fuck ton of lag. So long story short, guys, I got my boost back in my first and second gear. The car's hitting harder than ever at 25 psi. It's driving strong, it feels healthy, and it's making some fucking steam. All we got to do from here now is fix the internal wastegate bracket. That's all we got to do. Once that internal wastegate bracket is fixed, we're good to go. Going about how to fix the internal wastegate bracket is not going to be the easiest task. I'm talking to my buddy Junior over at Limitless Performance and Fabrication, and I'm probably going to be bringing the car to him Tuesday, hopefully if he has the space. And we're either going to pull off the downpipe and completely weld that door shut from the inside of the turbo, or we're just going to weld the bracket itself, you know, on top of the turbo so that it's stuck. So we're either going to weld the bracket or weld the door flap on the turbo, just so we have no more hiccups and the car is boosting as it should all the time. I'm really sorry for being absent. I gotta stay on top of these videos. Like, if people do YouTube You'll know what I mean. When you miss a step in a build, it's kind of like, well, why make a new video when I didn't show them the last thing? And you just bury yourself in a hole. But I'm trying to get myself out, and I hope you guys understand that. Because as I've said before, I would like to make this a very big deal to do YouTube. So with that being said, guys, I thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys at the next update of the car. Obviously, the next update is going to be doing some real fucking boost pulls once it's done. But at the same time, I got to take care of this thing, guys. I got to take care of this thing. I really want it to last, and I question the motor at this point, and I don't even know if I can trust it. So I just got to take very, 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 very good care of this thing and very much watch how much I boost it. So alright guys, next video pretty much be an update on if the car is boosting or not, and we'll go for some drives and make some more content. But until then, let me know what you guys want to see. I've got a whole lot of cars to show you guys. My brother's ZL1 build, my Z28. We're hoping for 4 digits by next summer on that car. You know, single billet 8891mm turbo LS3 forged. That's what I want to do with that. I've got my dad's Z28 here that we just got back from my buddy Oscar. That's got a Brian Tooley Racing cam, West Coast ported heads, and Cook's head long tube headers, and a 2.9 Whipple supercharger. This thing is a bad son of a bitch. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to see, and until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.